Hello geometry students, Mr. Cazzato here, and today's learning target is to talk about the equation of a circle. And for the class activity, you may have done a Desmos. And so let's summarize what you learned in the Desmos. So before we do that, let's talk about the point in the middle of a circle is called the center. And the line from the middle or the center of the circle to the edge of the circle is called the radius. And the line that goes all the way across this blue segment is called the diameter. Right, so in the Desmos you should have learned the equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. Let's do a couple quick examples. So if we had x squared plus y squared is equal to, say, 100, since there is no h and k, the center is 0, 0, and the radius is the square root of 100, which is 10. Let's do another example. If we have x squared plus y squared is equal to 81, again, the center is 0, 0, and the radius is the square root of 81, which is 9. And let's do one more example centered at 0, 0. X squared plus y squared is equal to 11. The center is 0, 0, and the radius is the square root of 11. So the main idea that I'm trying to get to is the following. If the equation is x squared plus y squared equals r squared, the center is 0, 0, and r is the radius, and to get the radius you take the square root of this constant that I'm highlighting in yellow. Then if we move away from the center being 0, 0, this green highlighted equation is the generic formula for the equation of a circle. Some people call it the standard form of a circle. So let's look at an example. This may or may not have been in your Desmos. If I write x plus 7 squared plus y plus 4 squared is equal to 36, the center is always going to be the opposite of these two numbers I just highlighted in blue. So the center is going to be -7, -4. The radius is still the square root of this constant that I just highlighted in yellow. So the radius is the square root of 36, which is 6. Let's look at another example. X minus 4 squared plus y plus 1 squared is equal to 49. Again, the center is going to be the opposite of these numbers I just highlighted in blue. So the center is 4, -1, and the radius is the square root of the constant, which is 49. So the square root of 49 is 7. So this is the main idea that you should have learned in the Desmos activity. What we're going to do is some class examples. If you want to pause the video and kind of try the problems, you can. So in problem number 1, again, to find the center, we're going to take the opposite of those two numbers I highlighted in or underlined in red. So the center is going to be -3, 2. The radius is going to be the square root of 200, this constant. And if you were to break that down, that's the square root of 100 times 2, which is 10 square root of 2. Problem 2 asks us to reverse this idea. So we're given the center and the radius, so we're going to reverse it. So the formula is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. Remember, we take the center, and the h and k inside the parentheses are always opposites. So x minus 3 squared plus y minus 5 squared. And then you take the constant, or excuse me, the radius 6, and you say 6 squared to get 36, which is the constant. Problem number 3 is similar to problem number 1. Again, we always take the opposite of the numbers in the parentheses to get the center. So 3, negative 4. And to get the radius, we take the square root of this number 9, which I've been calling the constant, so 3. If we were to draw this on paper, so the center is 3, negative 4, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the center, that blue dot. And then to sketch the graph, I'm going to go 3 in each direction. So 1, 2, 3, the red dot, up 1, 2, 3, left 1, 2, 3, and down 1, 2, 3. So those red dots are on the circle, and then I'm just going to try to sketch it the best I can. May not be perfect, you might be a better drawer than me. I'm going to try one more time. We will not be grading you for the sketch. Let's look at the next page. Alright, on the next page here, again, to find the center, we want to take the opposite of those two numbers. So negative 4, 7. The radius is the square root of that constant. So square root of 100, so the radius is 10. Example 2 is reversing it, so we always want to take the opposite of the center, so the formula is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. I'm going to take the opposite of those numbers and put them in the parentheses, so x plus 2 squared, since the opposite of negative 2 is positive 2, plus y minus 3 squared, and then that's equal to 4 squared, because r is the radius, so that's 16. So that would be the equation of the circle. Again, if you want to pause the screen and try the problems on your own, please do so. So looking at problem number 3, we take the opposite, so 2, negative 1 is going to be the center. The square root of 4, which is equal to 2, is the radius. If we were to draw it, I'm going to go over 2, down 1, so there's the center. Radius is 2, so I'm going to go 2 in each direction. And then I'll try just to connect those red dots in a circle. So the main idea for this lesson is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. If you have x squared plus y squared equals, let's suppose, 64, the center is 0, 0, because there is no h and k, and the radius is the square root of 64, which is 8. If you have x plus 11 squared plus y minus 13 squared is equal to 144, the center, you're going to take the opposite of those two numbers, so negative 11, positive 13, and the radius is the square root of 144, which is 12. The last two examples are an extension. I'm going to look at problem number 2 first. So I'm going to write down the formula, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So this is a little 3-step process. I'm going to start with the center here that I just highlighted in yellow. So step 1 is I'm going to plug in the center. So x plus 4, remember you take the opposite, squared, plus y minus 2 squared is equal to r squared. Step 2 is I'm going to use this point, negative 1, 3. That negative 1, 3 represents an x and a y value. So step 2 of the problem is I'm going to take this x and y value and plug it into the equation. So negative 1 plus 4 squared plus 3 minus 2 squared will equal r squared. I'm going to get my calculator out and do the calculations, or do the calculations in my head. So this is going to be 9 plus 1 is equal to r squared, which means r squared is equal to 10, which tells me the radius is the square root of 10. Step 3 of the problem is I'm going to use my step 1 and say x plus 4 squared plus y minus 2 squared is equal to r squared. And here we've calculated r squared to be 10, so then that's equal to 10. So this is the final answer for problem number 2. If you want to pause the screen and try problem number 1 on your own, please do so. Right, so now that we've gone through problem number 2, I'm going to highlight the center. So step number 1, I'm going to write x plus 6 squared plus y minus 3 squared is equal to r squared. Step 2, I'm going to plug in the point negative 2, 6 for my x and y. So negative 2 plus 6 squared plus 6 minus 3 squared is equal to r squared. Using my calculator, I get 16 plus 9 is equal to r squared, which tells me r squared is 25, or the radius is 5. Step 3 is I'm going to go back to step 1 and write x plus 6 squared plus y minus 3 squared, and that's equal to the radius squared, which is 25. So this is the answer to problem number 1. If you have any questions, please meet with your teacher or the math interventionist.